Welcome to Behind the Blue Lights, where we shine a spotlight on misconduct, unpack legal and policing issues, defend public rights, and push for real accountability. Today's story comes from Auditor Brett Chamberlain. You'll find his channel linked below, so make sure you check him out and give credit where it's due. In this video, Brett brings us another shocking coin audit. After topping up his tank at a Sainsbury's petrol station, he tries paying with genuine Royal Mint silver coins, legal tender, but staff refuse to take them, call the police, and even throw his money about. When an officer turns up, she's completely lost, stumbling over the law and trampling Brett's rights so badly that he ends up having to call his solicitor. The officer's performance was so poor that even her own inspector later admitted she'd need retraining. If you'd like to support this channel and our work exposing these stories, hit the join button below. Your support really does help. Right, let's get into it.
Hands over the coins as tender.
Yeah.
Obviously it is legal tender, you are correct.
Yeah.
But as Sainsbury's, we aren't obliged to take that because we aren't able to bank that here. So unfortunately we will have to ask for some other means of payment to purchase that fuel.
What do you think legal tender actually means?
Pardon?
What do you think legal tender means?
I'm not into a debate about that. We're not accepting that as a tender here. It's a private company.
So you accept it as legal tender?
Yeah, but we can't bank that here. We don't have the means to bank it, so we don't accept it.
That's not my problem if you can't bank it, is it?
Well, yeah, but we don't accept it.
Well, you already have.
No, we haven't. You just put it down.
No, I gave it to the lady and she put it in her hand.
So, have you got any other means of payment?
That is my means of payment.
So, have you not got any other means?
But that is my means of payment.
Well, and we can't accept.
Brett points out something crucial. The exact moment the worker took the coins in her hand, payment was legally made. The debt was cleared. Now, a shop can refuse Royal Mint coins if that policy is made clear before a sale takes place. But that wasn't the case here. The petrol was already pumped, the goods had been consumed, which means a debt already existed. Once a debt exists, legal tender must be accepted. You can't physically take lawful money and then pretend it doesn't count because it's a hassle to process. That's exactly where both Sainsbury's and the officer went wrong. They confused what was easy for them with what was lawful.
Have you got another means of payment, or do we just need to process it as a civil recovery issue?
Well, I've paid.
Well, you haven't. We haven't accepted it.
You don't need to. Well, you have accepted it.
We haven't.
Well, I haven't got the money, have I? You've got the money.
Well, we can give it back to you.
Well, I don't want it back. Are you a police officer?
Yes.
Right, can you identify yourself, please? What number are you?
1866, Bridgewater Police Station.
Mrs. Bradshaw, Miss Bradshaw.
That's correct. Miss.
Hi, Miss.
Hi.
Right.
So they've asked for another form of payment because
Yeah.
they can't accept this form. Have you got another form of payment on you?
That is my payment.
Right, okay, but that's not tender that they can accept.
Yes, it is.
They're asking for another form
Yes,
of
it
payment.
is. Let me explain something to you. When you was training to be a police officer at the beginning, yeah, you swore an oath, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember what the first sentence of the oath was? It was to serve the Queen faithfully.
Correct.
Right. Now those coins are legal tender by royal proclamation of the Queen herself.
Okay.
Right. She's authorised within the legislation for the Royal Mint to create those coins, and when she proclaimed them to be legal tender, she said that they are legal tender for payment throughout the United Kingdom.
When the officer arrives, she just repeats what Sainsbury's staff told her, as if their store policy outranks actual law. Brett cuts straight through it, reminding her of the oath she took when joining the force, to serve the crown faithfully. That's key, because these weren't just bits of metal. They were legal tender declared under a royal proclamation through the Coinage Act 1971, Section 2. It's the Crown via the Royal Mint that decides what counts as legal tender in the UK, not a supermarket policy. Brett wasn't quoting opinion, he was quoting the very authority she's sworn to uphold. By connecting her oath to the law, he exposed just how absurd her stance really was.
They've allowed me to take goods, and they've allowed me to take goods, and then pay after the event. When the fuel goes into my vehicle, it becomes my fuel, but then it becomes a debt. Okay, now the whole point of legal tender is that you can use it to pay a debt. As the Queen said, it's for payment throughout the United Kingdom. So they don't have to accept it, and if they was to give it back to me, it would negate the debt. Okay, it's not a police matter, it's a civil dispute. So really, you know, I mean, really, you should be telling them that it's a civil dispute.
I've just spoken to them and said about the document whereby you can come back and pay within 24 hours. They're saying that they don't want to accept the tender that you've given them. Is there an alternative method?
I'm not going to pay in any other way. I've already paid. Okay, and regarding that document, it's called a no means to pay document, isn't it? Right, I'm not filling out a no means to pay document when I have got the means to pay and I've paid. It's almost like an acceptance that I haven't got the means to pay when I have.
Next, the officer tries to hand Brett a no means to pay form, something garages use when a customer genuinely can't pay, like if they've forgotten their wallet or their card's declined. It's a way of promising to come back and settle the bill later. But that didn't apply here. Brett did have means to pay, legal tender, straight from the Royal Mint. By forcing him to fill out that form, both the officer and Sainsbury's were twisting the facts, pretending a valid payment hadn't been offered simply because they didn't want to accept it.
Can I take your name, please?
No. Oh, yes you will, because I'm driving.
Sorry?
Yes you can, because I'm driving. Sorry. There you go. Although technically, parked up on private land. I'll be going soon, as soon as I've finished dealing with it.
Is that the money?
No, I don't want that. If you give it back, then it goes to debt. Did you see that, officer? Officer?
Yes,
I've paid and she's thrown the money back in.
They've asked for another form of
No,
payment.
she's thrown the money back in.
Okay.
Do you understand? Can you explain to them that that negates the debt? You can't pay someone and then they just throw the money back at you.
Do the paperwork.
Do you want to remind them of that?
So that's the details of the transactions there, okay?
Ma'am, can you show it to me? I paid it though.
Yeah, but it's unacceptable tender.
Officer, did you witness them give me the coins back, didn't you? And when I have paid, yeah?
I've witnessed them give you the coins back. I've also witnessed them say that it's unacceptable tender. They're not willing to accept it. Therefore, they've asked for another form of payment. You haven't provided it, so that's hence why they're giving you the form.
Well, I don't want that.
When the officer asks for Brett's name while he's in his car, the law says he must provide it, and here's why. Under the Road Traffic Act 1988, any driver on a public road must give their name and address when asked by a uniformed officer. So, because Brett was behind the wheel, he had to comply. But what happens next is seriously concerning. Moments later, a Sainsbury's worker comes back with a no means to pay form already filled in, complete with Brett's details. He never gave consent or signed anything. So how did they get his name in the first place?
You give these coins back to her, or can you keep them as evidence?
I'm not giving the coins back.
Well, you know, you do realise it negates the debt anyway.
They haven't accepted
Well, I don't want that either, and that's nothing to do with me. I would like a receipt though, please.
You've been
I can't give you a receipt. The transaction's still outstanding, I'm sorry.
Do they have to give me a receipt for VAT purposes?
You haven't paid
I have
because
paid.
they haven't accepted the tender.
I have paid. They had it in their hand. They threw it back in the car.
Okay, but they
you
haven't
witnessed they threw it
they
back
haven't
in.
accepted the tender, so therefore there isn't a
So
payment.
it's for, as I said to you earlier, the Queen said that
I
these.
understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
and you've obviously done your research.
Yeah.
What they're saying is it's not acceptable form of tender. They're not accepting it, therefore the debt hasn't been paid.
But you're an officer of the law, aren't you? You're a sergeant or just a PC?
PC. Hence why they've given you this, because they want you to pay in another acceptable form of tender.
So what do you think? If they said that they didn't want to accept a £50 note and threw the £50 notes back in, yeah, and then gave me that, would you think that's reasonable?
Well, you
Or £20
have to
notes.
offer another form of payment.
Brett flips the whole situation with a brilliant example. Imagine paying with a £50 note, having it thrown back at you, and then being told to fill out a no means to pay form. Would anyone think that's fair? It's the same logic here. Once legal tender is offered, the debt is settled. Refusing it isn't Brett's problem, it's theirs. But the officer still doesn't get it. Instead of sticking to the law, she keeps insisting Brett use another payment method. That's not how the law works, that's just convenience. By siding with store preference over legal obligation, she turned what was a settled debt into a criminalized mess. That's where her argument completely fell apart.
Had 50s and £20 notes, okay, and I went in there to pay them, and they said, "Oh, sorry, we don't accept those." Right? Yeah, but even though this is theoretical, yeah, we don't accept those. And I say, well, I've paid, and I've left the money on the counter, and they came in from back in the car. Would you still be saying that it's up to me to pay in some other way?
But they just said that's an acceptable form of tender.
Yeah, but it's not down to them as to whether it's acceptable or not. It's down to the state.
They don't deem that acceptable.
It's down to the state. It's not for
Okay,
them to
right.
choose.
Well, they've served you with this. They haven't accepted payment.
I don't want that. That's nothing to do with me.
Right, okay, well, you've seen it. She's showing you it.
Yep.
Okay?
I don't know what it is. I don't even know what it is. What is it?
It's
I haven't
because
signed any. What is it? No means to pay form or something like that? Why? How did they get my details? Did you give them my details?
Because you've given me your details.
Right, that's against the law. It's a breach of my personal data. You should not have done that.
Paid.
You have not. You should not have done that.
You haven't paid.
You know that. You should not have done that.
You haven't paid.
As the officer waves around the no means to pay form, Brett spots something outrageous. His name's already printed on it. He immediately questions her, asking how they got his details. Shockingly, she admits she gave them to the store, saying it was fine because he'd already told her. That's a direct breach of GDPR and data protection laws. She got Brett's details under the Road Traffic Act, powers that only apply to traffic-related matters. Passing that info to a private company over a civil dispute is completely unlawful. Police are meant to protect personal data, not hand it out to businesses whenever it suits them. Instead of owning up, she just repeats the same line, "You haven't paid." It's a total failure of duty, twisting police powers to help a supermarket while violating someone's privacy. It's not just unprofessional, it's blatant misconduct.
I'll be lodging a complaint about this.
Okay,
you know
are
you're
you
going to be in
accepting-
trouble for that,
are you
don't you?
accepting the details?
No.
You're not.
You know that you're going to be in trouble for that, don't you? Because you're not allowed to give them my personal details. Breach of my data. Police giving private corporation my details. They threw the money back in the car. We'll be lodging a complaint with 101, I think, straight away.
In his update, Brett explains how the complaint went, and it's shocking. The police responded saying the officer did nothing wrong, effectively backing behavior that allowed a private company to refuse legal tender, throw it back into a customer's car, and misuse police powers to share personal data. That's not nothing wrong. That's crossing the line between public authority and corporate convenience. It shows how one officer's ignorance can be protected by a system more interested in defending itself than doing what's right. Brett rightly points out how this turned fraudulent. By using police
When he
obtained
points out
info,
how this turned into a
Sainsbury's were able
fraudulent
to fill in a
situation
no
by
means to
obtaining
pay
his
form
details
without
through
his
the police,
permission,
Sainsbury's
creating a
could falsely
contract he
complete
never
a
agreed
no
to.
means to pay
His
form,
lawyer confirmed he
effectively
had a
creating
strong
a
case,
contract he
though it
never
wasn't
agreed
worth
to.
pursuing
That's
in
the
court.
real scandal here.
Even so,
The officer
the
wasn't
fallout
just
spoke
misinformed,
volumes.
she enabled a
The officer's
corporation
own
to exploit
inspector
police
admitted she'd
powers
be
to cover its
retrained.
own mistake.
A quiet
In
way
his
of
other
saying she
reply,
was wrong
Brett
without
explains
putting
that
it
while
in
his
writing.
lawyer confirmed
When
he
an
had a
officer
case,
needs
it wasn't worth
retraining
pursuing
after
in
one
court,
incident,
but the
it's clear
fallout
the
was still
citizen knew the
significant.
law
Her
better
own
than the
inspector
police
admitted she'd be
enforcing it.
retrained,
What's
which
mad
says
about this
everything.
whole
It's a
encounter
quiet
is how a
admission of
simple
fault
act
hidden
paying for
behind
petrol
bureaucratic
turned into a
language. When an
full-on
officer
legal
needs
lesson for the
retraining
public.
after one
Brett
encounter,
wasn't
it's
rude,
proof the
evasive,
citizen knew
or
the law
breaking any
better than
law.
the police.
He was simply using his right to pay with legal tender. Yet the staff, and then the police, escalated it through sheer misunderstanding of the law. Instead of calming things down, the officer reinforced the mistake, parroting store policy like it trumped national law. This is exactly what's wrong with modern policing: convenience first, justice second. Through it all, Brett stayed calm, logical, and sharp. Every time they tried to twist the story, he brought it back to facts. His £50 note example alone exposed how ridiculous their position was. Refusing legal tender after a service isn't a choice, it's a breach. By the end, the officer had no leg to stand on, and when she shared Brett's details under the Road Traffic Act, she opened a whole new can of worms. In the end, Brett didn't just defend himself, he educated everyone watching. His calm, well-informed approach turned a minor civil issue into a powerful lesson in standing up for your rights. The takeaway? Know your rights. Stay calm. And never let anyone, uniform or not, convince you the law bends for convenience. If you enjoyed this one, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps keep this independent coverage going.